JTV Sports will be at Northwest High School for Columbia Central and Northwest boys. That game starting at 6:45. Thank you, Minuteman Sewer and Drain Cleaning, presenting live sports on JTV. We're happy to welcome our first guest on the show today from Southern Michigan Bank and Trust. We have Vice President, Commercial Loan Officer, Bobby Wrozek, and Vice President, Mortgage Loan Officer, Craig Talbert. Hey guys.
Hey Bart.
Afternoon, Bart. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to have you here. Thanks for coming in today. Bobby's been here several times, but this is Craig Talbert's first visit to JTV.
It is.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I know many of our viewers have seen Craig throughout town. I believe you're a lifelong Jacksonian, aren't you?
I am. I've been here my entire life. It'll be, you stop and think about it, it'll be a long time. It'll be 64 years here in April. So.
Awesome.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Bobby's a lifelong Jacksonian as well. It looks like as you look at the lineup of talent at Southern Michigan Bank and Trust, you've got a lot of Jackson born and bred people, community involved staff on the team at the bank.
Absolutely. John Waldron's done a great job of putting together a pretty good team. Everybody, for the most part, is born and raised here in Jackson, and it's fun to get the gang back together. We've all worked together before in numerous other institutions and positions, so to be back together and having everybody working on the same page again, it's fun.
Nice. Here's a photo from the new branch. Actually, you've got several new things here in Jackson, but the most recent opening was the Horton and Weatherwax branch. Tell us about what the new branch, and I think, Craig, this is your home office.
Yes, that's where I'm located. I'm in there with Sarah, who is the branch manager, and Andrew, who is her right-hand person, with two full-time universal bankers. Great group in there, and I love being in that location. I live out that way, and it's a good and bad thing that I know so many people, when they walk in to do their banking, they stop by my office and we catch up on things, but kind of puts me behind the eight ball a little bit sometimes. But it's nice to be back with the people right in my area where I know pretty much everybody that comes in there. So there's a lot of good positive energy in that location.
It's a happening strip of land in Summit Township.
Sure is, and I was telling somebody the other day, having grown up here, if you'd have told me, 20 years ago that there would be all that development, those buildings and so forth, on that swampland, I would have told you were crazy. But it's certainly definitely got a lot of energy right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you and I both remember before there was a Weatherwax Drive.
You had to drive down
Harding.
Park Road to Harding Road, and all the people on Harding were pretty darn happy when that Weatherwax came into play, for sure. Yeah.
Nice. So, Bobby, where are you? Are you downtown?
I am. I'm downtown, 4th floor of the post office building. That's our loan production office. So I'm down there with our commercial loan officers there, and Mr. Waldron has an office there as well. And we have processors, and Chad Perrine and his assistant is also there for the wealth team. So
we have 3 locations in Jackson right now.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. 200 is also another location. That's the first branch that we opened right downtown here, so we could get a downtown presence going. But the new location at Horton Road and Weatherwax, that's going to be hopefully gangbusters for us. It's already started. The first month here in January that we were fully open, I think they opened over 70 plus accounts. And being a branch manager in my early stages of my banking career, the average there was probably 30, 40 accounts a month, and that was a really good month. So to come out in January and hit those kind of numbers, that shows good progress for us.
That's amazing, and I think surprising, because you think about people's relationships with their bank, it's typically in cement. What brings someone to move their banking to a new bank?
I would say just from things, and I'm at a different level as far, I'm not on the front end as far as people with deposit accounts and CDs and whatnot, but it all boils down to relationships and people. And when you have people, like I was talking a couple of minutes ago, I know just about everybody walks in that door, and somebody knows somebody when you go into one of our branches. Somebody knows somebody that works in Bob's location in the commercial department, and that's kind of what it's all about. You know, people feel comfortable when they feel like they're dealing with somebody they can trust, not just an email or an 800 number where they're calling somebody and dealing with somebody remotely. And we've got a lot of good people, and like Bob was just talking about, most folks that work at our bank are from the area, so that definitely helps build relationships.
Well, it looks very welcoming and comfortable. Your branches in your downtown production office, they're very hip. You've done a lot of work in designing really cool space, and I'm sure your clients and customers feel very comfortable when they are visiting in person.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very unique. It's not your old just brick and mortar. It's very sleek, some of the additions and stuff that we put in there. But as Craig said, and just to piggyback on that, it's really about the people when you're dealing with them every day. You know, can you get the job done? Yeah, you know me, but am I going to follow through and follow up? And that's where Craig, I mean, I've worked with Craig off and on since probably 2007. Him being a mortgage officer, I mean, his follow through and his follow up is impeccable. I would call it hand holding, but it's more of a white glove service. He goes above and beyond. And especially when you're a first time home buyer, that's something that you really need to have somebody actually walk you through what you're actually doing, because that's a big investment on your part, is buying a home. So Craig does a phenomenal job there, and anybody that I've ever sent him, you know, they speak highly of him and the way that he handles his business. So we're happy to have him on board. He's one of the best. And I mean, I can recall when he left or I left, whatever happened there, but I'll always get an email that says, "Hey, happy birthday from Craig Talbert." So it's just those little attention to detail moments that you think, man, he's really giving me a touch here, and we don't even work together anymore. So
have you had your whole career in banking or some in real estate?
As far as being in the mortgage-related industry, I've been a mortgage lender since October of 1997. So it's been a while.
Good chunk.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now their plans are, I think, in the works to extend the bike path from Weatherwax around the corner right down in front of your bank down Horton Road. So you'll be able to either walk or ride your bike to work. Do you plan on doing that when that path is done?
Or get wheeled to work, we'll see. I did not know that, but that could be something that we might look into doing, sure, yeah.
So we saw in the last several months some regional banks that have a presence in Jackson, national, big, giant banks with headquarters out of state, close local offices, saying we don't need face-to-face anymore, but you're opening branches. Do you know something they don't know?
Well, we're in growth mode for Jackson right now for Southern Michigan Bank and Trust. I mean, the bank's been around for over 150 years, but new to the Jackson market over the past couple. So obviously we want to have that brick and mortar presence. And there's still a lot of people, especially in town here, I mean, being a banker for over 20 years here in town, that they like to come in and handle their business face to face. And they want to have that personal touch instead of everything's done over the internet, which we offer those as well, but there are still a lot of people that want to come inside and have that conversation. And maybe that's the best part of their day, that they get to go out and they, you know, if they're retired, maybe they come in and have some coffee, have a cookie, sit down and talk to one of our tellers, and we're able to assist them.
You know, and a lot of people from a consumer perspective, they don't know the rules on how they're supposed to go about getting information for whatever it is that they're looking for, whether it being opening a CD or a checking savings account, or how does a home equity loan work, or I want to buy property and start flipping, how do I get a commercial loan? How do I do a cash out refinance on my mortgage to pay off some debt or what have you? And so, you know, like me being in the branch when we first opened in December, Sarah was opening a checking savings account for somebody. They asked a question about a home equity line of credit. She doesn't do those, I do. So this person got a chance to take care of their business that they came in to do as far as the accounts. They talked to me. We're doing a home equity line of credit closing for them. We're closing here next week. They got to do everything within the same branch they went into. Now they feel like they have relationships with people that they didn't have before. Yesterday I had somebody call me who wants to build a new home. He also flips property, and it was more of a hybrid thing than just doing a straight vanilla mortgage from me. It was more involved, more complicated, I guess you could say. So I called Bob, as a commercial lender. They do things that I don't do as a residential lender, and this guy couldn't have been happier that he knows me, got a chance to talk to Bob, and felt like he's known Bob forever. And so there's somebody, if you're at one of those other examples you're talking about where there's no personal touch involved, the people might have said, well, I'm just not sure how that works. You'll have to call somewhere else. And they keep hopping along on their own trying to find what they're looking for. And when you've got relationships within the same bank, it definitely makes it better for everybody.
I also know that you two are involved in the community, as is the bank. I see at all the events. I saw you at the Home Builders annual meeting a couple weeks ago. What are the things that Southern Michigan Bank and Trust are involved in terms of partnerships and sponsorships?
Well, I can speak for myself. I mean, obviously I'm the varsity softball coach at Lumen Christi. I also help run a youth brunettes softball organization. There's just a plethora of things that we're all involved in, and everybody has their own niche. So it's good to be involved in the community because you want to see those people giving back. Yes, the donation dollars are good too. So yeah, we like giving the money to help out, but to have your feet on the ground and actually be part of it, I think that shows that we're truly invested in the Jackson community.
It was nice to see I would say the resurgence of the Home Builders Association in the community. That
was quite the event there. What did Patrick said that there were, last year at the same event, there were less than 40 people there, and this year there were 230. I think if there was a fire marshal that stopped in unannounced, he might not have been happy with the way the tables were arranged, but it was a great event for the association, that's for sure. And it was great to get a chance to see so many people that that I hadn't seen personally in quite a few years. It was good to catch up with them, and I think a lot of people had the same experience.
Well, between a mortgage guy and a commercial lender, we would probably have a pretty good handle on what the state of the economy in Jackson is. How are things?
Right now, everybody talks about rates. That's been the hot topic for the last couple of years, and rates are not going to go down into the fives anytime soon. People remember what they were when they shouldn't have been where they were for as long as they were, but that was just some unique times we went through, back in 2020 and all that. I think a lot of people are waiting for rates to get down into, the mid to upper fives. Psychologically, I think they'll feel better than seeing something that's starting with a 7, although rates look like we're going to be maybe dipping down just a smidge below 6 for a 30-year fixed rate, which is pretty good, So there are a lot of folks who they just can't psychologically move out of their 3% rate into a 6% rate, even though they know that maybe the house they live in doesn't serve their purpose as well as it used to. They've outgrown it, or they need something bigger because of their family changing. The biggest issue, aside from rates, because most people, when you get right down to it, they're going to buy a house as long as their payment works within their budget, whether their rate's 7% or 5%, does that payment work for them? A lot of people are getting into the house now to buy at today's value versus tomorrow's or next year's when it's going to go higher and higher, potentially. Get into the house right now and then refinance it when the time is right, when the market makes sense. Probably the biggest issue right now we've got, and we've had for probably, I bet going on 2.5 years in Jackson County, there have been more licensed realtors than there are homes listed for sale. It's not unique to Jackson. That's a problem everywhere. There's just not any inventory, and that inventory again isn't going to be created until and unless people start listing their houses to move into a different house. So, but all in all, the demand I think is still there. I know that I personally have been busy, not crazy busy like it was back in when the rates were in the 3s, when everybody was refinancing as well as purchasing. But I think there's just something in the air right now. People have a different bounce about them. I think they feel more confident about where things are headed, and there's just a good positive energy when I talk to people now.
Bobby, how about business growth?
I would say that there was never really a slowdown for me personally for work. We still got a lot of businesses in town that are buying new buildings. They're buying equipment, acquisitions, either buying into a business or buying out a partner. I mean, that kind of stuff never really slowed down for me. So it seems to have picked right back up here in 2025, and things are looking good.
Great. Good to see you both. Thanks for coming in.